Hello friends and Happy New Year. Terry Jo coming at you on January 1st, 2023. Let me apologize, I left my microphone at home. So I'll do as best I can. I'm currently at the intersection of 10th and Market Streets here in Marcus Hook, Pennsylvania. Down to Hook to take a look. And this is my hometown. I lived in Marcus Hook initially in 1972 and then again from 1976 to 1985. We'll talk about some history. As I recall, growing up here in Marcus Hook in the 1970s. This is what used to be Tyndall Park. Now it's just an empty lot. In the 1970s and into the early 1980s, there used to be park benches here, and there were picnic benches in the back, and we would hang out. We would put speakers, set them outside of the car, and play music, and just have a good old time. And Tyndall Park is no more. The sign isn't even up that used to say Tyndall Park. Before it was Tyndall Park, there were stores here. There was a fire, I believe it was 1971, and the stores that sat between what used to be, I believe it was PNC Bank, in this building right here. I can't remember what this building was, but stores sat between the two buildings. Now this used to be the old Salvation Army in the 1970s. A lady named Doris worked there for a number of years. She was the nicest person, but it was a thrift store. I don't remember what every store was back in the 1970s, but this place used to be Clark's Auto Parts. And this was one of two places that I would go to the store for the employees when I was 11 and 12 years old, and it was a way for me to make money. So I'd go in and say, do you guys need me to go to the store for you? And usually there was 2 to 3 people working, and they'd give me between 50 cents to $1 per person to go to the store for. So I was doing pretty good for the young entrepreneur that I was. Currently, this is New English style pizza. When I was growing up, it was the old Salt and Pepper Club. This again was in the mid-1970s, more specifically 1976. There was a nice bartender that worked here, and I'd go to the store for her as well. So this was one of 2 stops that I would make. After the Salt and Pepper Club, it was the L&S Club. So Salt and Pepper Club followed by the L&S Club, and now of course it's New English style pizza. I'm not sure of what was between L&S Club and the current business. And here we are, still on 10th Street. This is 10th and McClure Lane. That empty lot used to be Joanne's. You could buy hoagies, cheesesteaks, and whatnot there. And there was 2 rooms. One room was the sandwich shop, and the other room was the arcade. That room was in the back. And we go play pinball and shoot pool and whatnot. And we come across the street to good old Tyndall Park. And that's the empty lot that I referred to earlier. Good times. We had wonderful times here.
Visco Village is a rare example of the planned industrial community, particularly because of its creative layout and housing design. The village was built by the American Visco Company, a textile firm which began in 1908 and opened a plant in Marcus Hook just 7 days before Christmas in 1910.
The main intersection of Marcus Hook is 10th and Market Street. I'm currently on Market Street, spinning around, and we are now looking towards downtown. This empty lot is the former site of the M&H restaurant. There's apartments on the second floor. I was a waitress and dishwasher here in 79 and 1980. I would tell my mother that I had to work until midnight, but really, I got off work at 10 o'clock at night. I thought I was cool because I would hang out with the girls, and sometimes I'd go to Tyndall Park, but yeah, that was my ticket out at night. I believe it was 1980. I was on the bus coming home from school. A friend of mine told me that the M&H restaurant was on fire. I did not want to believe it. It was devastating. First, it was a paycheck every week. And it was a way for me to get out at night and hang out with my friends. I really enjoyed that job. The cook, his name's John Orlando. He was a nice man. He had a heart condition, but he would show me how to make things like meatballs and rice pudding. The rice pudding, he made it from scratch. And to a 15 and 16-year-old, that information was interesting. At least to me, anyway. A lot of fond memories during my time at the M&H restaurant. And as you can see, it's been a number of years since this place has burned down. And just like Tyndall Park, it remains an empty lot over 4 decades later. We are still on Market Street, and this is the Allen McIlvaine Lumberyard. The lumberyard covers a lot of ground here in Marcus Hook. This section goes down to the end of the block, as you can see. Right there is where it ends. This place employs a lot of people in the Marcus Hook and neighboring areas. We are still looking at the lumberyard. This is a different section, of course. We are in downtown Marcus Hook. This is the former site of Krabby's baseball field. And I believe the baseball field was right in this area. I used to play softball on this field in the late 1970s. We were the Vikings girls softball team, and our coaches were Pudgy, and the assistant coach was Nancy. Sadly, Pudgy passed away years ago. She was only in her early 40s, if I recall. To my knowledge, Nancy is still alive. And right across the street is a local historic landmark, currently the Bible Presbyterian Church. A lot of history in this building. I'm standing to the side because I don't want to be disrespectful, but this gives you an idea of how old this graveyard is. And there are many graves that are much older than this marker.
A local historic landmark, the former St. Martin's Protestant Episcopal Church and Cemetery, was bequeathed by Walter Martin in 1699. It is believed to be the second oldest church site in Pennsylvania and the fourth oldest in the nation.
I'm currently at 4th Street and Maiden Lane. I want to bring your attention to this empty lot. This is the former site of Green's Apartments. The building used to house studio, also known as efficiency units, with a shared bathroom. I was 7, 8 years old when we lived here, and I do not have fond memories of Green's Apartments. If I'm being honest, I hated this place. And I was happy to see the building demolished. Good riddance. We are now at 2nd and Green Street, and this building is the former site of Jack's Restaurant. I used to come here to get my paychecks cashed years ago. Jack's closed, if I recall, sometime in the 1990s. I'm standing at the intersection of Green Street and Delaware Avenue. This is the former entrance to Sun Oil Refinery here in downtown Marcus Hook. It's now Energy Transfer. This is Market Square Memorial Park. This park sits on Delaware Avenue along the Delaware River. This park used to be a lot smaller. I believe they expanded the park in the early 1990s. This section of the park here, this wasn't here when I was growing up. When facing the Delaware River, the left side of the park was the home of the Pisacki family. I know it was a decent sized home. I believe there was a tennis or a basketball court, perhaps both. However, I never saw the property because there was a fence that kept that area very private. I'm only repeating what I was told, but I do know that the Pisacki family lived there, and when they moved out, that property was demolished and this park was expanded. And it's a real nice park. Across the river is Gloucester County, New Jersey. The Oriental Jubilee. Nice ship, very nice. I'm still on Delaware Avenue. To my right is the former entrance to Sun Oil Refinery. And I am spinning around. As you can see, there is the Memorial Park, which sits on the Delaware River, to another refinery, which sits to my left, currently known as Monroe Energy, former home of BP Oil, also ConocoPhillips. And there is another name in there that I cannot readily recall, but there it is. Marcus Hook is about 1 square mile of residential area, and it's sandwiched between what used to be BP Oil Refinery to the left and Sun Oil to the right. And that's, of course, if you're facing the Delaware River. Still in downtown Marcus Hook, about a block from the Delaware River, this is the Plank House. This property is registered with the Marcus Hook Preservation Society. This house has historical significance. It is thought to be the former home of Blackbeard the pirate. And you can see the steeple of the old Bible Presbyterian Church sitting behind the Plank House. We are looking at the Marcus Hook Elementary School, and to my right is the Mickey Vernon Park, honoring professional baseball player Mickey Vernon. James B. Mickey Vernon, born in Marcus Hook, Pennsylvania, April 22nd, 1918, a gentleman's gentleman. Marcus Hook is hometown to two notable athletes, Mickey Vernon, professional baseball player, and Billy White Shoes Johnson, professional football player. And here we are, Mickey Vernon Park, borough of Marcus Hook. I am now on Maiden Lane in uptown Marcus Hook, and this is the rear alley of Nauscal Apartments in what used to be a courtyard. The parking lot that we're looking at used to house a building with 4 apartments. There were 2 3-bedroom apartments on the first and second floor and 2 1-bedroom apartments. And there was another apartment to the rear. And it sat like right in this area here. And this was the court. So the 3-bedroom apartments had steps where the front entrance was here, and you went up the steps, and that led to my sister's unit. And then you went down the steps, which led out to the court in the back where you can see the sidewalk right here. And my mother and I lived in about 6 different apartments when we returned to Marcus Hook in 1976 until she passed away in November of '84. I don't have the time to show you every place we lived, but Nauscal Apartments was one of the more memorable places. We were here in 1978, 79, and 1980. What a wild and crazy 3 years that was. So you had my mother and I. Initially we were in a 1-bedroom apartment, and then we moved next door to the 3-bedroom apartment. We were on the first floor. My sister was on the second floor in the other 3-bedroom apartment. My Aunt Janice, who recently passed away at the ripe old age of 80 years old. She lived in this unit right here. I'm trying to point to it. And that was a 2-bedroom apartment, but it was 2 floors. And then a good friend of mine, her sister, Cindy, lived in this apartment. It was a family affair. We all knew each other. And we just had so much fun when we lived here. My cousin Ronnie, Zuma, lived with my mom and I for a period of time. My brother Charlie and my other brother Mark, 2 older brothers that have now passed away, they also lived in the 3-bedroom apartment with us for a bit of time in 79. And what wonderful memories. I can go on and on, but there just isn't the time. And right through this walkway here, that leads you back out to Market Street. Let's see. But yeah, this was the court. It looks so much smaller now than when I was a teenager. Yep. And, oh, there was another building through this space here. And we can see the empty lot right there leading out to Market Street. And so there was another apartment building there. But yeah, this was now Scales. Boy, oh boy. It's hard to believe so many years have passed. I can't think of a better way to end this video than to show you the former home of Fran the Cat Lady. Anyone who lived in Marcus Hook in the at least the late 1970s and early 1980s will remember Fran Cat Lady. She had a number of kitty cats that she would feed, and she loved each and every one of them. When I get older, I aspire to be just like Fran the Cat Lady.